All right, I got it figured out. Let me start over by saying what I'm really getting at is life. Life has changed so much and has went lame. Far as rock and roll, the way we knew it, and I'm saying children of the '80s, it's lame. There's we're a dying breed, and people don't realize this. Rock and roll, Harley Davison, the bad boy image. Like I said, I grew up around motorcycles, motorcycle clubs. I was in a few of the clubs over the years. I've always played music ever since I was 15 years old professionally. In bars back then, you could do that. And I just absolutely don't know where it's going these days. Because there's this whole thing with these tribute acts now. Okay, the tribute acts, God love them. They're making tons of money. Give that to them. But they're no different than a cover band. And a cover band is no different than somebody that's going out living off of somebody else's talent. Now, this is where I'm going to piss people off at, but I don't care. You need a dose of reality, and the ones that are doing those things, I ain't got no problem with it. Great, I've done it for years myself. I played in bars doing stuff like that, thinking I needed to make money and everything. And when it comes right down to it, you know what? Usually when you play in the bar, top dollar is going to be somewhere around $200 if you make it that far. Most people get $50 a night, if that, which makes no damn sense to me. Now, granted, the guys that do the tribute acts are making damn good money because it's a tribute act, but they're still living off of somebody else's legend. And there's not that many legends anymore. They're dying off. Ozzy's gone. We got even the bands that are still alive that they're making tributes out of, like Motley Crue. Motley Crue isn't Motley Crue, and that's destroyed a lot of people's self-worth of believing that the Crew was this bad boy rock and roll group of guys that loved each other, that would go to the hilt for each other, and it's not true, and never was. And when you start taking facts away from who legends are and how they built this industry, being a kid back then, which I was technically a few years younger than them themselves and didn't realize it, but you idolize these people, and so when you find out, because they say never look behind the curtain, but when you find out the people that you idolize aren't the people you think they are, when you get older, it kind of it messes you up a little bit. You know what I mean? Because everything that you believed was a lie. Now, I never was. I've never been fake. I've lived that life, and I've enjoyed every damn bit of it. I ain't gonna say I didn't. I didn't do the drugs, and I never got too far gone on anything as far as alcohol or anything like that. People that know me know the way I am. You know what I mean? I lived a wild life other than that, and I'm going to leave it at that because ain't no need in getting into that. But that being said, the same thing with Harley Davidson. You know, the movies put it out there for years that the bad boy biker would do this and do that and blah, 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 and then it got to where it was a running joke for a long time that they would, any movie that had to have a hero in it that wasn't a biker, they would throw him in with a bunch of bikers and let him beat the bikers up, as to push that image of that guy up faster. That was just part of the image. But then there's other stuff like back in the '80s that people loved, like I don't know. I mean, they'd make TV shows based around stuff like this and give that like what was that back in the day? Renegade. It had I think Renzo Lamas played it. He also played the geek in Grease, which is kind of funny. But that shows you just how much everything was Hollywoodized and showed out for. You know, here I'm thinking this guy's cool as shit and doing this, and he's an actor. He's doing his thing. And I knew that, and I'm grateful for knowing that, but I enjoyed watching it because of what it was. And, but Motley Crue and the rest of them, I didn't know they was acting. I didn't know that was the case there until later on in life, and which a lot of us had figured this out. And it's pretty aggravating. But anyway, that being said, again, that's the whole rant I'm going on about right now. Harley Davidson has fooled everybody the same way. After all these years, they let some douchebags, and I'm going to say it, they're douchebags, come in and run the company and absolutely ruin it for everybody else. Yeah, it was brought in that this is American-made, and that's the big thing. Even with all the clubs and everything else, it's all about patriotism. It's all about being American-made. You couldn't get into a hardcore club back in the day and ride a Japanese bike or something like that. Because they demanded it be an American-made motorcycle. It could have been an Indian. It could have been anything of that nature. But they wanted you to be true American people. And because that was part of the image, was American-made, American-born, American badass. And so, I grew up around that my entire life. I mean, my mom and dad, my dad played music in the bars. My mom was the bartender in the bar. I remember her being a bartender, my dad playing on stage. And next door to this bar was a motorcycle club, I'm putting this nicely, was next door. Well, I grew up with them, and as protectors of me, because they loved my dad, my mom, and the bar and everything else, I'd be a little bitty kid. I'm saying maybe, because these images are in my brain, right? This is how I was raised, and I'm grateful for it, because I lived a great life. I remember seeing a big puddle of dry blood one morning because somebody got stabbed or shot or wherever it was out front of this place due to something. And but I would run through there damn near naked as a jailbird as a little kid. My brother would be chasing me because he was an older brother, was supposed to be watching me. And I'd run to go tell on him because Mom was just across the street in the bar with Dad. So I'd run to the bar and hitting all these bikers and stuff. And I remember, if you guys remember back in the 80s, there was like or the 70s or whatever, there was they had the big giant King Kong condoms. I remember one floating across the bar one night. And as I was running through there, I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was a balloon. I was a little kid. But I remember that etched in my brain, you know what I'm saying? So there's one reason right there I turned out the way I did, I'm just saying. And but all these clubs and bikers and stuff took a liking to me because I was a little kid running around through there, and because of my parents and stuff. And so that's one reason why I grew up the way I did, and the way I still am today, and I've never changed. I absolutely put my heart and soul into music because it's pretty much a family tradition anyway. I don't know to do anything else. I put my heart and soul into building motorcycles, as you can see. I got a couple of them still today, still ride, and always will. I'll probably die on one most likely, and that's the fact of it. You know what I mean? I'd rather die on a motorcycle than die in a nursing home. It just ain't gonna happen for me like that. But that being said, going back to the thing of being betrayed by Harley Davidson, by having these douchebags come in that run these other companies, and they know exactly who I'm talking about. Anybody in the industry knows exactly what I'm talking about right now. Has ruined what it really is. And so Harley's suffering. They're trying to get out of their fake bullshit that they tried to do with everything, all the woke shit and all that, and which is ironic because the biggest industries have been taken over and ran by those people, and secretly our own money had funded them for years, and we wasn't aware of it. So we've kind of paid to kill ourselves off in the long run, which is the stick in the eye. But in between all that being said, and you can check all these things online, like I'm talking about with the Harley industry and everything, and the music industry and stuff. But I just know I'm a dying breed, and it really sucks because the new kids out there today. I went out and I like the new music. Don't get me wrong. And I'm saying new music. I mean the heavy stuff and everything. I like it. I went. My wife's younger than me, of course, and we went to one of her concerts because she likes some of the newest groups out there. You know what I mean? And I'm always down for a good concert. And I've never been one to criticize anybody or anything like that. I've always kind of stood back in the back and you know, supported them, and I still do that today. But when I watch these new groups, I realize, because I am a musician, and they're not real. They're no different than Motley and the rest of them. Every one of them are using these backing tracks that they're not even playing their instruments. I mean, they're no different than Milli Vanilli being up there doing their thing. And now with the AI coming into the situation, that's creating a whole new world so much more easier for everybody to fake it and make it, it's ridiculous. Now, if anybody out there knows of any band that's coming up now that's not full of a bunch of old guys that are making good music, let me know, because I haven't seen any. I haven't come across anybody that's real young cats that are trying to live up to the legends and stuff like that, like we did when we was kids. The ones that I see doing it are still ripping off exactly that. They're not original. They're not doing their own thing. They're mimicking what they've seen. You know what I mean? And like most people do. There's nothing wrong with that, but it makes them a tribute act either way they go with it. Even if they, and that's what sucks is that I'd much rather hear somebody's original music with their way of thinking on it and enjoying it than listen to something I've heard 60 million times when I was growing up and somebody dance around in spandex. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's no, to me, that's no talent. They're just copied everything else. Yes, they got talent. Don't take me wrong. They got talent doing what they're doing. I'm not saying they don't, and I'm not dogging on you guys. I'm just, I want to see more people put real music out there. And I want to see American badasses do it again. It ain't happening, guys. I'm dying off. My whole industry's dying off. My whole world's dying off. We're just that age. It's going to be happening, but there's nobody to carry it on. There's no American badasses no more. If I'm wrong, please send me a link or something showing me that they are, because I would love to see it. I would love to be wrong about this. And I would love to see the younger generation pick it up and become an American badass again, because where they at? You know what I mean? And I will stand by them and help them in any way I can possibly help them do this. Because I want them to be original, and I want them to enjoy their lives as much as I have. Because I have enjoyed every moment of my life being who I am. And I'll never change that.